Chapter 3244. The Purgatory Arena is divided into 3 areas according to cultivation base. 1st to 3rd layer of King God Realm are divided into one area, 4th to 6th layer of King God Realm are divided into another area, and 7th to 9th layer of King God Realm are divided into another area. People with the same cultivation base can only fight in a certain area. For example, from the 1st to the 3rd King God layer, they can only fight in the 1st area. Of course, they can also go to the 2nd and 3rd areas. That's just courting death. And those with higher cultivation bases can't enter the lower areas to fight. Kui Wei explained. So, there are different areas. Lu Ming was moved. It was a pity. If he had known that there were different areas, he would have come to the Purgatory Arena to fight. He wasn't afraid of anyone from 1st to 3rd layer of King God Realm, unless he encountered a monster like Di Jenny. Brother Lu Ming, which area are you going to? Kui Wei asked. The 1st area, of course. Lu Ming said. The 1st area was for 1st to 3rd layer of King God Realm, the 2nd area was for 4th to 6th layer of King God Realm, and the 3rd area was for 7th to 9th layer of King God Realm. You can get a mask when you enter the Purgatory Arena. Wearing this mask can hide your identity. Therefore, when you fight in the Purgatory Arena, people won't know who you are. Kui Wei said. The 3 of them entered the 1st area and were stopped by the guards. They filled in their information and received a Shura mask each. After putting on the Azura mask, a mysterious energy spread out from the mask, turning into a black fog that shrouded their bodies. Lu Ming looked at Qiu Qiu and Kui Wei. He could barely see their figures and knew that they were women. However, the color of their clothes and their appearance were all covered. Even his spiritual consciousness couldn't see through them. Not bad. Lu Ming smiled. It was best if they could hide their identities to gain points. Lu Ming had many enemies. If they couldn't hide their identities, he was afraid of being targeted. Moreover, there was a number on each of their Shura masks. Lu Ming was 11111, Autumn Moon was 11112, and Kui Wei was 11113. Putting on their masks, the 3 of them walked in. The Purgatory Arena was actually an arena. There was a huge fighting ring in the middle. Around the fighting ring, there were rows of seats and many spectators. However, those who entered this place were all wearing Azura masks. It was impossible to recognize their true appearances. At this moment, the crowd was cheering. 2 figures were fighting fiercely in the fighting ring. The faces of the 2 people fighting could not be seen clearly, but it could be seen that they were both men. One was tall and sturdy, while the other was tall and thin. The 2 of them were engaged in an intense battle. Their cultivation bases were at the 3rd King God Realm and they had awakened the god power of the origin. In fact, being able to enter the Great Void Imperial Academy was a testament to one's talent. After cultivating in the Great Void Imperial Academy for so many years, most people would be able to awaken their divine origin power. The 2 of them fought for more than 100 moves. In the end, the tall and thin man was defeated. He found a chance to rush down the fighting ring. In the end, he was pushed down from the fighting ring. Number 3689 wins. This is 3 consecutive wins. You get 3 purgatory points. A deep voice reverberated in the arena. The points here are calculated according to the number of wins. You get 1 point for each win. If you get 2 consecutive wins, you get 2 points at once. Plus the previous points, you get 3 points. If you get 3 consecutive wins, you get 3 points at once. Plus the previous points, you get 6 points. So on and so forth. Kui Wei sent a message to Lu Ming and Autumn Moon to explain. Lu Ming understood. In this place, the more consecutive wins, the more points one would get. However, the battles here are not limited to one person. If someone gets too many consecutive wins, the manager of the Purgatory Arena will arrange for many people to join hands to fight against one person. For example, if someone gets 50 consecutive wins and continues to fight, he may face many people joining hands to fight against him. It is said that the record in the Purgatory Arena is held by Jing Yu. His highest record is to challenge 99 experts at the same time. Kui Wei continued to explain. Jing Yu again. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He found that many records in the Great Void Imperial Academy were held by Jing Yu. It could be seen how amazing Jing Yu was in the past. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was the first in the history of the Taishu dynasty, fighting 99 people at the same time. Really amazing. Lu Ming sighed. One should know that everyone here was a genius. It was extremely terrifying to be able to fight 99 people at the same time. Of course, it also depends on luck. If you encounter a genius of the same level as you naturally can't challenge so many people at the same time. Kui Wei smiled. Then, Kui Wei introduced the rules of the Purgatory Arena. There were no taboos in fighting in the Purgatory Arena. One was responsible for his own life and death. No one would care if he died in the arena. At the same time, admitting defeat with one's mouth was not considered as admitting defeat. If you couldn't win and wanted to admit defeat, you had to rush down the arena to admit defeat. Only then would your opponent stop chasing you. Number 3689, do you want to continue? The deep voice sounded. Yes. Number 3689 replied. Let me fight you. As soon as number 3689 finished his words, a figure rushed up to the arena from the stands. Everyone saw that the number on his mask was 5555. Kill. Without saying anything more, the two of them started to fight fiercely. Both of them were in the third king god realm. The battle was extremely fierce. After more than 100 moves, number 5555 won, ending his opponent's 3 consecutive victories. However, although number 5555 had defeated his opponent, he was injured and did not continue to fight. Young master, let me try. Qiu Yu sent a message to Lu Ming. He was eager to try. Go, be careful. Lu Ming reminded him. Don't worry. Qiu Yu smiled and flew up, landing on the arena. Then, her aura diffused. She had the cultivation base of the third king god realm. There was a gap between the third king god realm and the fourth king god realm. It was not easy to break through. After years of cultivation, Qiu Yu had reached the peak of the third king god realm. She was only one step away from the fourth king god realm. Qiu Yu had been in the fourth king god realm for 100 years. However, Lu Ming estimated that Qiu Yu would break through soon. Look at her body. She's a girl. Haha, I like to bully girls. Leave it to me. A rough voice sounded, and then a figure landed on the fighting ring. Girl, I don't want to kill you. Get out of the arena. The man shouted and threw a punch at Qiu Yu. He was also in the third king god realm. Swish. Qiu Yu slashed his saber and broke the man's defense. That person let out a blood-curdling scream as his body flew backwards and landed heavily on the battle stage. He spat out a mouthful of blood and a saber mark appeared on his chest. His entire body had almost been split in half. Chapter 3245. Qiu Autumn Moon defeated her opponent in one move. Of course, Autumn Moon had shown mercy. Otherwise, she could have killed her opponent in one move. Get out of here. Qiu Autumn Moon said. She changed her voice to make it sound cold. That person hurriedly ran out of the fighting ring. Number 11112 wins. You get 1 purgatory point. Do you want to continue? A deep voice sounded. Yes. Qiu Autumn Moon said. In the next moment, another person rushed to the fighting ring and fought with Autumn Moon. However, he was easily defeated by Autumn Moon. To be honest, not many people could be a match for Autumn Moon at the same level. Qiu Autumn Moon had lost to Shu Wuya because Shu Wuya had reached the fourth king god realm. If they were at the same level, Autumn Moon could probably defeat Shu Wuya. But now, Qiu Autumn Moon had reached the peak of the third king god realm. After 300 years of cultivation, she had improved in all aspects. She was even stronger now. Even though they were at the same third king god realm, she could easily defeat her opponents. Not long after, Qiu Autumn Moon had won 50 consecutive battles. With 50 consecutive victories, Qiu Autumn Moon had earned 1,275 points. 1 point was enough to cultivate in the Garden of Gods for a day. With 1,275 points, she could cultivate for a few years. These points are pretty easy to earn, Lu Ming muttered to himself. If other people heard this, they would probably vomit blood. Others had to fight for their lives to earn 1 point. It also depended on their luck. If they were careless and met a ruthless person, they could lose their lives here. How was it easy to earn? The spectators were dumbfounded. What a terrifying genius. She won 50 consecutive battles. It's been a long time since such a terrifying genius appeared in the first area. That's right. Since the top geniuses reached the 4th King God realm, no one has been able to win 50 consecutive battles. Many people were discussing. It wasn't that no one had won 50 consecutive battles. Some of the top geniuses from the previous batch of students had done that. However, after they had broken through to the 4th sky of the King God realm, no one could do that anymore. Could he be one of the top prodigies among this batch of new students? That's right, that's for sure. I heard that there are quite a few terrifying geniuses among this batch of new students. They're ridiculously strong and have surpassed many of the previous batches. Some people even say that this year's batch is the strongest in history. This person must be a top-notch genius among the new students. There were sounds of discussion all around. Number 11112, do you want to continue? The deep voice sounded again. Fight. Autumn Moon wanted to continue her challenge. All right, but I need to make some arrangement. Not long after, a total of 3 figures rushed onto the fighting ring. As expected, the Purgatory Arena began to arrange for more people to challenge the Mid-Autumn Moon. Apparently, under the 4th sky of King God realm, no one could be Cho-Cho-Yu's equal match. They had to arrange a group battle. However, even if the 3 of them joined hands, they were still no match for the Mid-Autumn Moon. The Mid-Autumn Moon's winning streak was still ongoing. The number of people the Purgatory Arena sent out was increasing. At first, there were 3, then 4, and then more than 20. Many people gasped in astonishment. Those 20 people were not ordinary people. They were all the top geniuses. Each of them was very strong. Even though they had joined hands, they were still no match for the Mid-Autumn Moon. After that, the Mid-Autumn Moon had won 100 consecutive battles before he stopped. He had consumed a lot of his god power. After winning 100 consecutive battles, the Mid-Autumn Moon had gained 5,050 points. This made countless people's eyes burn with passion and envy. 50 points were enough for him to cultivate in the statue garden for more than 10 years. After the Mid-Autumn Moon had finished his challenge, he went back to the stands. Hey, pretty girl, can you sell me some points? I'm willing to pay you a lot. Move aside, pretty girl. Sell me some points. I'm willing to pay you anything, including my body. Get lost. Shameless. Instantly, many people surrounded the Mid-Autumn Moon, wanting to buy his points. It was noisy. The Purgatory points could be bought and sold. I'm not selling. The Mid-Autumn Moon's face was cold, and his body emitted cold killing intent. Those people could only shut their mouths. I'll give it a try. Lu Ming smiled. With a flash of his body, he dashed into the fighting ring. After dashing into the fighting ring, Lu Ming released his cultivation level. The aura of a 2nd layer King God Realm Cultivator was fully revealed. 2nd layer King God Realm Cultivator. Great, his mine. Immediately, someone's eyes lit up and he dashed into the fighting ring. Judging by his figure, he was also a burly young man. He was about 3 meters tall, so he should not be a human. His aura was also that of a 2nd layer King God Realm Cultivator. Boom. He took a step forward, causing the ground to rumble. Then, he dashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming took out a long spear and thrust it out, exchanging blows with the man. There was a loud explosion and both of them retreated a few steps at the same time. What a powerful strength! Lu Ming exclaimed. He seemed to be very serious. Of course, Lu Ming was faking it. If he was serious, he could easily kill his opponent. However, if he showed his strength at the beginning, what if the people behind him did not dare to accept his challenge? Therefore, he decided to keep a low profile at the beginning and show his weak cultivation. That way, he could attract more people to challenge him. When he won more battles in a row, he would gain a lot of points. Therefore, Lu Ming pretended to go all out and fought fiercely with the burly young man. After exchanging dozens of blows, Lu Ming finally blasted the other party out of the arena with one shot. He looked as if he had barely won. Number 11111 wins. You get 1 point. Do you want to continue? A deep voice sounded. Yes. Lu Ming pretended to take a few deep breaths and said, "This guy's strength is average. I'll fight him." Immediately, a man rushed to the fighting ring. He was also in the second King God realm. His fighting capacity was stronger than the previous one. Then, Lu Ming pretended to fight with him for dozens of moves and knocked him off the fighting ring. After the fight, he looked like he was about to die. As expected, someone else continued to challenge him. Just like that, Lu Ming won 15 battles in a row. After each battle, he looked like he was about to die. However, every time someone went up to him, he would knock them off the fighting ring. Finally, the others felt that something was wrong. F***CK. Is he pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? He looks like he's about to die every time. However, the stronger people are defeated by him. This guy is definitely pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. How insidious. The crowd cursed. However, some people didn't believe it. I don't believe that his fighting capacity is weak. I'll go and fight him. Another man rushed to the fighting ring and fought with Lu Ming. However, he was still defeated. Even if someone in the third King God realm went up, the result would be the same. However, there were still people who went up to challenge Lu Ming. Most importantly, Lu Ming was gentle. All the challengers were knocked off the fighting ring at most. He didn't kill anyone. If Lu Ming was cruel and merciless, there wouldn't be so many challengers. Chapter 3246. Soon, Lu Ming's winning streak reached 50 consecutive victories. Is there anyone else who wants to challenge me? Let me tell you, I can't take it anymore. Lu Ming shouted. Bah, shameless bastard. Someone reprimanded. They were 100% sure that Lu Ming was pretending to be weak to take advantage of others. He was astonishingly powerful and deliberately lured others to challenge him. Lu Ming rubbed his nose speechlessly. It seemed like he had to wait for the Purgatory Arena to arrange for more people to challenge him. I'll fight you. At this moment, a voice was heard. Then, a figure dashed onto the fighting stage. Judging from his figure, he should be a skinny young man. Lu Ming frowned. He didn't know why, but he felt a sense of danger from this young man. Lu Ming's spiritual senses were sharp. Under normal circumstances, his senses wouldn't be wrong. Swoosh. At this moment, the young man's figure flashed and charged at Sumo. His speed was shocking. Like a ray of light, a terrifying saber light burst out and slashed at Lu Ming's head. This was a killing move. He wanted to kill Lu Ming. What a strong killing intent. He wants to kill me. Lu Ming's heart jumped. He waved his spear and blocked the young man's attack. With a clang, the young man's figure flashed and appeared behind Lu Ming. He slashed again. Lu Ming swept his spear, but the young man's figure flashed again and appeared in another direction. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Saber light flashed. Hundreds of saber lights surrounded Lu Ming. Get lost. Lu Ming's divine force burst out. A huge spear light swept out. Previously, Lu Ming hadn't used his full strength. Now that he had activated the battle character art, his divine force surged and he wanted to send the young man flying. However, at this moment, something strange happened. The other party's saber gleam suddenly surged. A shocking saber gleam was extremely terrifying. It broke Lu Ming's spear gleam in an instant and charged toward Lu Ming's head. Sixth King God Layer. Lu Ming roared furiously. He was furious. That man's cultivation base had reached the sixth King God realm. He had been hiding all this time, and now he had suddenly erupted. He clearly wanted to put Lu Ming to death. If it was an ordinary person, they would definitely not be able to withstand it and would be killed. However, Lu Ming had been keenly aware of the danger from the beginning, so he had always been on guard. Boom! Lu Ming exerted all his power and instantly transformed into a green-armored ancient god. At the same time, the gate of domination appeared in front of him. At the critical juncture of life and death, Lu Ming couldn't care less about hiding his identity and used his full strength. Clang! The blade light slashed against the sovereign's door, and the sovereign's door shook violently. Cracks appeared on its surface, and then it exploded. Poochie! The remaining blade light slashed onto Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body shook violently as he retreated rapidly. Lu Ming was in his green-armored ancient god form, but the green scales on his body had been cut open, and there were streaks of blood. Lu Ming retreated hastily, trying to get out of the fighting stage. Die! His opponent shouted. The blade light expanded and turned into a shocking blade light that charged towards Lu Ming. His opponent's combat strength was extremely strong. Not only had his cultivation base reached the 6th King God realm, but his origin divine power factor had also awakened twice. Even though Lu Ming had broken through to the 2nd King God realm, he was still no match for him. Overlord God Spear. Lu Ming roared and used the Overlord God Spear. He thrust it out and stabbed at his opponent's blade light. At the same time, the ice chains flew out and formed a shield in front of him. However, his opponent's blade light was terrifying. It broke through the ice chains and collided with the Overlord God Spear. The Overlord God Spear shook violently, and cracks appeared on its surface. Catcher! The Overlord God Spear began to crack inch by inch. However, he managed to block his opponent's attack. Fortunately, Lu Ming had broken through to the 2nd King God realm. If he was still in the 1st King God realm, he would have been killed by his opponent's blade light. At this moment, Lu Ming made use of this pressure to retreat rapidly and dashed out of the fighting ring's perimeter. However, his opponent did not plan to stop. He charged towards Lu Ming again, and his blade light flashed. It was terrifying. He did not want to compete with Lu Ming. He wanted to kill Lu Ming. All of this happened too quickly, too quickly. The surrounding people were all stunned. Young Master Qiu Yu was even more shocked. He rushed towards Lu Ming, trying to help Lu Ming. However, it was too late. His opponent's third blade light slashed towards Lu Ming. Block it! Block it! You must block it! Lu Ming shouted. As long as he could block this attack, he would be saved. The Purgatory Arena had its rules. Although people with a high cultivation base could watch, only those below the 4th King God realm were allowed to fight. This person had obviously violated the rules. The experts of the Purgatory Arena would definitely take action. As long as he could block his opponent's attack, he would be saved. At this moment, Lu Ming's spirit, energy, and energy were all concentrated. Battle character art, increase fighting strength by 5 times, ice chain, divine dragon Dharma idol. Lu Ming shouted in his mind. At this moment, he had triggered the battle character art to increase fighting strength by 5 times. After hundreds of years of cultivation, the battle character art had increased the chances of triggering the battle character art. It was now 1 in 10. At this moment, as he was fully concentrated, he succeeded in triggering the battle character art. At the same time, 49 nine-clawed dragons appeared in the void. This was the result of Lu Ming's recent cultivation. His divine dragon Dharma idol art had also made great progress. He could now create 49 nine-clawed dragons at once. 9 ice chains also flew out. As for the overbearing God Spear and the God's Gate, although he could regenerate them, Lu Ming had just been defeated. It was impossible for him to regenerate them at once. In the measure character art, an endless stream of God power rushed into Lu Ming's body, turning into various attacks. Die! The opponent roared. The saber light slashed down, creating a violent explosion in the air. The ice chains and the 9-clawed dragons exploded one after another. In the end, the saber light landed on Lu Ming's body. Fresh blood splattered and green scales flew everywhere. Lu Ming's body was almost cut into 2. Deep wounds appeared on his body. Lu Ming vomited blood. He was severely injured. Die! The opponent roared. He was anxious. He didn't expect that with his fighting strength, he wouldn't be able to kill Lu Ming with 3 consecutive attacks. He circulated his god power and slashed again. How dare you! A furious roar was heard. The powerhouse guarding this place finally made his move. A huge claw appeared in front of Lu Ming and shattered the saber gleam. Then, the palm pressed down on that person's body. That person spat out a mouthful of blood. He was seriously injured and could not move. Phew. Lu Ming let out a long breath. He was finally saved. He couldn't maintain his ancient god body anymore. He transformed into his human form and fell to the ground. Young master. At this moment, Qiu Yu rushed over and held on to Lu Ming. Tears welled up in her eyes and she was about to cry. Chapter 32:47. I'm okay. Lu Ming smiled at the autumn moon. Then, he took out a healing pellet and swallowed it. He refined the pellet and stabilized his wounds. Luckily, Lu Ming's god body was strong. His vitality was abundant, so he could recover quickly. Lu Ming. That's Lu Ming. It's Lu Ming, the one who came in third among the new students. Lu Ming. At this moment, the scene was noisy. Many people recognized Lu Ming. After all, many senior students had come to watch the competition held by the Taishu dynasty. Later on, Lu Ming had used the god's door and the overbearing god's spear. Finally, some people recognized him. At this moment, a middle-aged man appeared in front of Lu Ming. His aura was intimidating. His cold eyes gazed at the man who had tried to kill Lu Ming. He waved his hand and the man's mask flew away, revealing his face. It was a skinny young man with a pale face. It's Fu Jian. Seeing his face, some people screamed in fear. Speak. Why did you sneak into the first area? The middle-aged man shouted coldly. Elder, you misunderstood me. I saw that his cultivation base was profound and he was strong. I was itching to fight with him. Fu Jian revealed an ugly smile as he quibbled. Nonsense. At this moment, Lu Ming tried to stabilize his wounds. He stepped forward with a cold face. Did you want to fight with me? You want to kill me? I'm sure you know who I am. Speak. Who sent you here? And, how did you know who I am? Apparently, the other had come here to kill him. He had used his killing moves to kill him. Everybody knew that the Purgatory Arena had a rule that warriors above the third King God realm couldn't join the fights in the first area. Otherwise, they would be severely punished. If the other didn't have a purpose, why would he take the risk? It was impossible. Apparently, the other had known his identity first. That was why he had taken action. His purpose was to kill him. But, how did he know that he was Lu Ming? Looks like my identity has been exposed. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He continued to stare at Fu Jian and coldly shouted, Who sent you here? As I said, I was just itching to spar with you. Fu Jian still refused to admit it. Elder, this person is obviously spouting nonsense. I suggest that we search his soul to see who sent him here. Lu Ming suggested to the middle-aged man. These words caused Fu Jian's expression to turn extremely ugly. All right. The middle-aged man nodded. His eyes were cold as he said, Such behavior is really bad. We must punish him severely. Otherwise, the rules of the Purgatory Arena will be abolished. I will search his soul. After saying that, the middle-aged man waved his hand, and a wave of energy enveloped Fu Jian. He was about to search his soul. No, don't, Fu Jian roared, his face filled with terror. In the next moment, his head exploded like a watermelon. Fu Jian died on the spot. Restriction, damn it. The middle-aged man shouted angrily. A restriction had already been placed in Fu Jian's soul. Once his soul was searched, his head would explode. Who is it? Lu Ming frowned. Who wanted to kill him? He thought of the people from the Imperial Advisor's residence, the Lan family, or the abysmal Heavenly King's residence. It must be his enemy. Damn it, those who come to the arena must be strictly checked in the future. Also, those who violate the rules will be killed without mercy. The middle-aged man roared as his cold eyes swept around. Many people shuddered at the thought of this. Then, the middle-aged man looked at Lu Ming and said, Are you all right? I'm fine. Thank you, Elder. Lu Ming said. That's good. Go get your points and go back to heal your injuries, the middle-aged man said. Lu Ming nodded and returned with Qiu Yu. Brother Lu Ming, are you all right? At this time, Kui Wei flew over and asked with concern. I'm fine. Lu Ming nodded and did not say anything. A cold light flashed in the depths of his eyes. This time, only he, Qiu Yu, and Kui Wei knew his identity. When Lu Ming went on stage, he did not use any of his classic secret techniques. Therefore, it was impossible for others to guess his identity from his actions. Then, there was only one possibility. Someone among them had exposed his identity. Qiu Yu could not have done it, so it could only be Kui Wei. No wonder Kui Wei took the initiative to befriend them when they just entered the Great Void Imperial Academy and enthusiastically introduced everything about it to them. This time, they came to the Purgatory Arena and happened to meet Kui Wei. Was it really a coincidence? Mph, I won't point it out. Let's see how you play. Lu Ming snorted in his heart and did not point it out. Qiu Yu's eyes flickered a few times, but he did not say anything. When they came to the gate, the guard gave Lu Ming and Qiu Yu a jade talisman, each containing their purgatory points. With this jade talisman, they could go to the Divine Statue Garden to cultivate. Miss Kui Wei, we're going to the Divine Statue Garden to cultivate. Do you want to come too? Lu Ming asked hypocritically. Oh, no. I don't have many points left. I'll train in the Purgatory Arena for a while and accumulate some points before going, Kui Wei said. Then I'll take my leave, Lu Ming said, and left with Qiu Yu for the Divine Statue Garden. Seeing Lu Ming and Qiu Yu leave, Kui Wei's eyes flickered a few times before she disappeared. Young master, you must have been betrayed this time. I suspect it's Kui Wei. Why didn't you point it out? Qiu Yu asked Lu Ming. She was smart and also thought of this point. There's no evidence. What's the use of pointing it out? I'd like to see who sent her. Lu Ming sneered. Then, the two of them returned to the hovering palace where they lived. After returning to the floating palace, Lu Ming calmed down and healed his injuries. Soon, more than 10 days had passed. Lu Ming's injuries had healed and he had recovered to his peak state. Then, he went to the Divine Statue Garden with Qiu Yu. Young master, I'll give you some points. Qiu Yu said. No need. You can keep them. When I run out of points, I'll go and earn more. Lu Ming smiled. The two came to the entrance of the Divine Statue Garden and handed over their jade talismans to the expert guarding here. 1 point for 1 day of cultivation. Go in. After checking it, the expert returned the jade talismans to them. The two entered the Divine Statue Garden. Not long after, they came to a spacious area. There was nothing else in this area other than the gigantic statues of gods. Primordial statues, so many of them. Lu Ming looked around. There were many primordial statues here. Some were tall and some were short. They were very similar to the one he had obtained. However, the primordial statues here emitted a strange fluctuation. It was similar to what he felt at the Myriad Deity Cliff in Xingyue Ancient City. Below these statues, some young people could be seen sitting cross-legged, quietly cultivating. Chapter 3248. In the God Statue Garden, there were many god statues, and each of them was emitting a mysterious wave of energy. My primordial god statue is considered tall here. It's just that it hasn't been consecrated. What a pity, Lu Ming muttered to himself. Then, he and Autumn Moon came to a tall god statue and sat down cross-legged. Although there were many god statues in the God Statue Garden, there was no rule about which god statue they had to cultivate. No matter what kind of divine power they cultivated, they could choose any god statue and cultivate. When their minds entered the ethereal state, Lu Ming realized that he had appeared in a starry sky. Roar! Lu Ming heard a terrifying roar. He saw many huge primordial divine spirits fighting in the starry sky. Primordial divine powers were surging. This scene was exactly the same as what he had experienced on the Myriad Deity Cliff in the Star Crescent Ancient City. Countless ancient gods were fighting. If they wanted to cultivate any divine power, they would have to find the corresponding divine power. Let's find the divine heavenly power first, Lu Ming thought to himself. Now, he only had the divine heavenly power that he cultivated from the divine heavenly skill that had not awakened the divine power origin factor. Therefore, He planned to awaken the divine I heavenly power origin factor first. Soon, he found the corresponding divine power. A huge primordial divine spirit, like a huge python, had eyes all over his body. When the eyes opened and closed, they emitted terrifying divine lights. He was fighting with another primordial divine spirit. Swoosh! One of the divine lights pierced towards Lu Ming and turned into ancient runes, trying to kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming shouted and used all his strength to fight back. These ancient runes were formed by the primordial divine powers that corresponded to the divine I heavenly power. In the process of fighting, Lu Ming's understanding of the divine I heavenly power deepened rapidly. When he was at the Myriad Deity Cliff in the Star Crescent ancient city, there were rows of stone platforms. The 3 platforms at the top had the best effect. Lu Ming discovered that the effects of cultivating here were equivalent to the effects of the 3 stone platforms at the top of the Myriad God Cliff. However, Lu Ming's current cultivation was much stronger than before. The higher one's cultivation base was, the stronger one's control over divine power would be, and the clearer one's understanding would be. Naturally, one would be able to comprehend the divine power origin factor faster. Therefore, the speed at which Lu Ming comprehended the heavenly eyes was shockingly fast. It was much faster than when he was at the Myriad God Cliff. Of course, there was still a huge difference in speed compared to the Bonesword tribe's sagely heaven Jade Annulus. However, Lu Ming had only spent a month to break through the bottleneck of his divine I heavenly energy, successfully awakening the ultimate God essence factor. After his divine eye's heavenly energy had awakened his origin God energy factor, Lu Ming started to comprehend the Overlord's God energy. However, the process of going from 1 awakening to 2 awakenings was much slower, and the difficulty of comprehending it was 100 times greater. The difficulty of going from 2 awakenings to 3 awakenings was even more shocking. For example, Di Jenny, Shu Wuya, Yi Jifan, Chu Chengkong, and the rest of the top geniuses had only awakened their origin God energy factor twice. None of them had awakened their origin God energy factor thrice. This showed how difficult it was. In fact, almost no one below the 3rd layer of the King God realm could awaken their origin God energy factor thrice. Lu Ming's sovereign God energy had already awakened twice. It was too difficult for him to awaken it thrice. Lu Ming decided to put aside his sovereign God energy for now and cultivate other divine powers. He would wait until his other divine powers had awakened their 2nd awakening. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. Lu Ming had used up all his purgatory points. Let's go to the purgatory arena again. Lu Ming left the God statue garden and went to the purgatory arena again to participate in the battles. Since the incident with Lu Ming, the management of the purgatory arena had become stricter. There were a few Sir God realm experts guarding the arena at all times. They had to scan every challenger with their spiritual consciousness. With their cultivation base, if they scanned carefully with their spiritual consciousness, they would definitely be able to see the opponent's cultivation base. Once they found a challenger whose cultivation base exceeded the rules, they would immediately take action to suppress or even kill the challenger. This prevented people like Lu Ming from being assassinated by high-level experts. This was also good. Lu Ming could fight without worry even if his identity was exposed. Once Lu Ming used his full strength, almost no one could defeat him. Soon, he had won 50 consecutive battles. Then, the Purgatory Arena arranged for more challengers to fight. However, they still couldn't stop Lu Ming. 60 consecutive victories, 70 consecutive victories, 80 consecutive victories. Soon, he had won 100 consecutive battles. At this time, Lu Ming had to face the attacks of 30 experts at the same time. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. He held the overbearing god spear in his hand and swept away thousands of enemies. The spear radiance burst out, blowing the geniuses out of the arena one by one. Not long after, the 30 experts were all sent flying by him. What a terrifying fighting strength! Lu Ming's strength is really astonishing. No wonder he is the new number 3. Recently, the first area has been swept away by the new students. Previously, Di Jenny, Chu Chengkong, and the others had won more than 100 consecutive battles. We can't go on like this. We can't do anything about it. Every time a new student joins, there will be a group of top geniuses who will sweep away the purgatory arena. After they break through to the third realm of the King God realm, they will go to the second area. The first area will be much better. Yeah. Moreover, this batch of newcomers is even more terrifying. We should just bear with it. Many people sighed. However, Lu Ming's challenge didn't stop. His winning streak continued. In the end, Lu Ming had won 150 consecutive battles. The number of people besieging him had reached 50. These 50 people even formed a great formation. Lu Ming finally felt the pressure. After exchanging a few hundred moves, he finally defeated his opponent and won 150 consecutive battles. At this moment, Lu Ming's purgatory points had reached 11325. These points were enough for Lu Ming to cultivate in the God Statue Garden for more than 30 years. Lu Ming finished his challenge and went back to the God Statue Garden to cultivate. Just like that, Lu Ming's days were peaceful again. He went to different cultivation holy lands and cultivated peacefully. Just like that, another 100 years passed. It had been 400 years since Lu Ming had joined the Great Void Imperial Sacred Institute. At this moment, Lu Ming received a message from Blue Merchant. Lu Ming disguised himself and left the Great Void Imperial Sacred Institute to meet with Blue Merchant. Lu Ming, you have been in the Sacred Academy of the Great Void Royal Family for 400 years. According to the rules of the Sacred Academy of the Great Void Royal Family, you will be sent out to carry out a mission when you reach the age of 500. However, I'm worried that the Grand Preceptor's residence, the Lan family, or the War God clan will harm you while you're away. You have to be prepared. Blue Merchant warned him. He was quite worried. Don't worry, Lan Shu. I'll be careful. Lu Ming nodded. Over the years, I've refined some formation flags, talismans, and other items. Take them and distribute them to Autumn Moon and Ling Er. You can use them to protect yourself when you're carrying out missions. Blue Merchant handed Lu Ming a storage ring. Chapter 3249. Lu Ming took the storage ring from Blue Merchant and scanned it with his spiritual sense. He found that it was filled with array flags, array discs, talismans, and other items. Each of them shone brightly and were extraordinary. Blue Merchant's soul power was already very strong. Ever since his stellar core was destroyed, he had been studying arrays and equipment. He was very skilled in this field. Thank you, Lan Shu. Lu Ming thanked him. Go, but be careful. Blue Merchant said. Lu Ming bade farewell and headed to the Great Void Imperial Court. Kid, I can teach you how to refine some things for self-defense. Ji Mo's voice sounded along the way. Sure. Lu Ming nodded. Ji Mo's origin was mysterious. He was definitely an old monster who had lived for countless years. The things he said would definitely be extraordinary. Lu Ming still remembered that when he was in the Kongxian school, he was controlled by the Dragon Mountain. At that time, his cultivation was still very weak. Ji Mo taught him how to refine some array discs and successfully tricked the Dragon Mountain. Now that his cultivation had improved greatly, the things he refined would definitely be more extraordinary. Then, Ji Mo told Lu Ming a lot of materials and asked him to buy them. Lu Ming disguised himself and went to a market in the Saint Capital to buy materials. The Great Void Saint Capital was extremely prosperous. There were even other empires of the same level, ancient countries, sacred dynasties, and ancient races that came to do business. It really had everything. Soon, Lu Ming bought a lot of materials and almost emptied Lu Ming's fortune. After returning to the Great Void Imperial Court, Lu Ming began to refine. After refining, Lu Ming found Autumn Moon and Lanling and gave them some array discs and array flags for self-defense. Then, Lu Ming continued to cultivate. Just like that, 100 years passed. It had been 500 years since Lu Ming joined the Great Void Imperial Court. At this time, every new student received the news that they would be sent out to carry out a mission. Not everyone's mission was the same. Some were the same, while others were different. Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, and Lanling looked at each other and realized that their missions were different. The three of them bid farewell to each other. Lu Ming followed the mission's instructions and came to a large hall. There were already thousands of young geniuses gathered here. Obviously, these people had the same mission as Lu Ming. After a while, a few old men walked into the hall. Your mission this time is to go to the Black Jade Gold Mine and guard it for 100 years. This time, we will escort you there. Let's go. One of the old men said and then walked out. Everyone followed the elders and headed towards the Black Jade Gold Mine. In a courtyard within the Crown Prince's manor, Dark Knight Rose slowly drank wine and said softly, "Sent to the Black Jade Gold Mine?" He, Lu Ming, then the Black Jade Gold Mine will be your burial ground. Imperial Advisor's residence, Wu family. Black Jade Gold Mine? That's a good place. Lu Ming, let me send you on your way. Deep within the Wu family, a voice whispered. At the same time, the Lan family, War God family, and Abysmal Heavenly King's residence all received the news that Lu Ming would be guarding the Black Jade Gold Mine for 100 years. All the major forces started to take action. The Black Jade Gold Mine was located in the north of the Great Void Imperial Court. If they took the teleportation portal, it would take a long time. Therefore, they entered a wormhole and traveled through the void before taking the teleportation portal to the Black Jade Gold Mine. A month later, a huge planet appeared in front of them. Wormholes are faster. If we took the teleportation portal, it would take a few years, Lu Ming exclaimed. Unfortunately, there weren't many wormholes in the Taishu dynasty and they couldn't be everywhere. Wormholes were generally formed naturally by heaven and earth. However, some powerful forces had the ability to create their own wormholes. That was terrifying. At least, the Taishu dynasty couldn't do it. The Black Jade Gold Mine wasn't on a planet with life but a resource planet. There was a lot of Black Jade Gold ore on it. Black Jade Gold was the best material for refining divine artifacts. Let's go. An old man in the lead dove down toward the Black Jade Gold planet. Soon, they saw a huge mine. There were countless people working in the mine. Lu Ming glanced around and found that most of the people working were tall, burly, and ferocious-looking creatures. Barbarian tribe. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he recognized them. In the south of the Taishu dynasty, there was a powerful tribe called the Barbarian tribe. The Barbarian tribe was very powerful. Their overall strength wasn't much weaker than the Taishu dynasty and they occupied a vast galaxy. The Barbarian tribe often attacked the Taishu dynasty. Therefore, there was a large number of troops stationed in the south of the Taishu dynasty and they often fought with the Barbarian tribe. The Barbarian tribe in the Black Jade Gold Mine were captured from the battlefield and forced to do hard labor. There were soldiers in armor patrolling all over the Black Jade Gold Mine. If any Barbarian tribe wanted to resist, they would kill them directly. The Black Jade Gold Mine was guarded by an army. The name of this army was very simple. It was called the Black Jade Army. For the next 100 years, Lu Ming and the rest would cooperate with the Black Jade Army and guard this mine for 100 years as a form of training. You all wait here. We will go to the general of the Black Jade Army to take over. An old man instructed them and then flew into the mine. Not long after, a group of people came and led Lu Ming and the rest to a place to stay. Lu Ming was assigned to a cave residence. This cave residence was actually a mine. It was quite large and the walls of the mine were black and extremely hard. Crack, crack, crack. As soon as they entered the mine, Chocho flew out and opened his mouth, gnawing at the walls of the mine. Soon, he had gnawed a big hole in the wall. This guy, Lu Ming smiled. After so many years, Chocho's cultivation had improved greatly. He had broken through to the peak of the 4th King God realm. He was not far from the 5th King God realm. However, during this time, Lu Ming had been busy cultivating and had forgotten to take care of Chocho. He had not given Chocho much metal materials. Chocho was probably starving. Lu Ming let Chocho gnaw as he sat down cross-legged and rested. At this time, there was only one palace in the Black Jade Gold Mine. This palace was the residence of the general of the Black Jade Army, Bi Kui. In the main hall, Bi Kui was meeting with a skinny old man. Brother Liu, may I know why the Crown Prince is looking for me? The general of the Black Jade Army, Bi Kui, was a tanned man. He poured a cup of wine for the skinny old man and asked, "The crown prince wants you to kill someone." The skinny old man took a deep breath and said slowly, "Kill someone? Who?" Kui asked calmly. "A student of the Great Void Imperial Sacred Academy. His name is Lu Ming. He is carrying out a mission in your Black Jade Gold Mine. He has to guard it for 100 years. Chapter 3250. A student of the Great Void Imperial Academy? Kui's expression changed slightly. If news of such a prodigy being killed gets out, those old guys from the Great Void Imperial Academy will find trouble with me. Hehe, don't try to play dumb with me. In the Black Jade Gold Mine, there are often riots from the barbarian tribe. There are even Starfield bandits who come to steal Black Jade Gold. Isn't it normal for a few people to die? When the time comes, just push them away. Also, the Crown Prince promised that as long as you kill Lu Ming, he will personally transfer you to the Saint Capital and make you the General of the Imperial Guard. The skinny old man said. What? The General of the Imperial Guards? Kui's heart skipped a beat as he exclaimed. His eyes were burning with passion. He had spent enough time in this godforsaken Black Jade Gold Mine. Moreover, there was no future in this place. Where was the most promising place in the Great Void Divine Capital? Naturally, it was the Imperial Guards. Once he entered the Imperial Guards, his future would be limitless. Now, many of the generals who were in charge of the millions of troops were from the Imperial Guard. He dreamed of being transferred to the Imperial Guards. Don't worry. Brother Liu, please tell the Crown Prince not to worry. I will handle this matter properly and not leave any traces behind, Kui said. That's good. The skinny old man took a sip of tea and squinted his eyes, emitting a shocking killing intent. Soon, Lu Ming had been in the Black Jade Gold Mine for a month. This month was very peaceful. Nothing much happened. Lu Ming's daily task was to patrol a corner of the mine for a few hours. After that, he could go back and cultivate. That was carefree. On this day, Lu Ming finished his patrol and returned to his cave abode. But as soon as he entered the cave abode, Lu Ming felt his heartbeat quicken and his hair stand on end. Danger! Lu Ming did not hesitate and moved a few meters to the side. Poochie! A blood-red blade light slashed at the place where Lu Ming was standing, creating a deep hole in the hard ground. That showed how powerful it was. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Then, several rays of saber gleams burst out and slashed toward Lu Ming from several directions. Cho-cho, Lu Ming's heart stirred, and the ball on his wrist wriggled, turning into a suit of armor that covered Lu Ming's entire body. Kill! Lu Ming burst forth. The Tyrant God Spear appeared and swept out. When the Tyrant God Spear swept out, there were also flashes of lightning that were incomparably dazzling as they bombarded the few blade lights. Clang! Clang! A series of collisions rang out, and several blade lights were swept away. Following that, the divine power in Lu Ming's body erupted, and the Tyrant God Spear turned into a resplendent rainbow light, shooting towards a certain direction. A blood-curdling scream rang out as a figure was struck by the Tyrant God Spear. The spear pierced through his body and nailed him to the wall of the cave. Their figures flashed, and a total of 4 black-clad men appeared around Lu Ming. Each of them held a scarlet saber in their hands. Not good, this person's strength is stronger than I imagined, someone said solemnly. The person that Lu Ming had nailed to death was a 6th-layer King God Realm cultivator. Moreover, he had awakened his divine power origin factor once. Even though there were so many of them, he was still killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's strength was beyond their imagination. Naturally, they didn't know how much progress Lu Ming had made in the past few years. Currently, his cultivation had reached the peak of the 2nd-layer King God Realm. The greatest improvement was in his various divine power origin factors. Now, he had awakened the origin divine power factor of all 10 types of divine powers twice. Yes, all 10 of his divine powers had been awakened twice. Lu Ming's fighting strength had increased tremendously. He could release terrifying power with just a slight movement of his divine power. With Cho-cho's help, it wasn't too difficult to kill a 6th-layer King God Realm cultivator who had awakened once. Tell me, who sent you here? The Wu family, the Lan family, or the War God family? Lu Ming shouted coldly. Go to hell and ask. Kill. The remaining 4 people shouted coldly and continued to attack Lu Ming. They slashed out terrifying saber lights. The remaining 4 people were all 6th layer King God Realm cultivators. One of them had even awakened twice. Being able to awaken twice at the 6th layer King God Realm was already considered a genius. You're courting death. Lu Ming shouted coldly. The God's Gate appeared above his head and pressed down. Then, the tyrant god's spear swept out. Lu Ming burst out with all his strength and used all his skills. With Chocho's help, his fighting strength was shocking. Although the 4 black-clothed men were strong, they were still suppressed by Lu Ming. Bang! One of the black-clothed men was hit by the long spear and was sent flying. He crashed into the wall of the cave and his body exploded. He died on the spot. Then, the God's Gate pressed down. The black-clothed man screamed and his body exploded. In an instant, he had killed 2 people. Fight him to the death. The remaining 2 people shouted. Their divine power ignited and they charged at Lu Ming like men on fire. Yin-yang God eyes. Lu Ming muttered. His eyes suddenly turned pitch black like 2 black holes. Runes suddenly appeared in front of the 2 black-clothed men. They were like threads that covered the 2 black-clothed men. The 2 black-clothed men didn't even have time to scream. Their bodies cracked into pieces and turned into ashes. The 5 black-clothed men who had come to assassinate Lu Ming were all killed. Ever since the sun and moon divine energy awakened the origin divine power, the yin-yang god eyes have become stronger. Lu Ming was overjoyed and his eyes returned to normal. The yin-yang god eyes required the sun and moon divine energy to control at the same time. Now that the 2 divine powers had awakened twice, its power was even more terrifying. Also, the divine eye's heavenly energy had an additional effect on the yin-yang god eyes. Now that Lu Ming had used the full power of the yin-yang god eyes, its power was even stronger than the origin secret technique. The origin of this secret technique was shocking. Lu Ming had suspected that it had something to do with the divine eyes Lord of Heaven. However, Lu Ming had asked Autumn Moon and Autumn Moon said that there was no such secret technique in the inheritance of the divine eyes Lord of Heaven. However, it was very taxing to use it. Lu Ming's eyes were sore. Who sent these people? Lu Ming frowned. Amazing, really amazing. I didn't expect you to grow so fast. At this moment, a cold laugh came from outside the cave. Who is it? Lu Ming shouted coldly and retreated. Swoosh, swoosh. Their bodies flashed and a few more figures entered the cave. There were 3 of them in total. They were also wearing black robes but they were empty-handed. They didn't have any weapons in their hands. They were different from the previous group. Lu Ming, it seems that you've offended a lot of people. So many people want to kill you. However, these people are stupid. If they want to send someone, they should send someone stronger. They should send a few experts in the 6th King God realm. One of them sneered and stared at Lu Ming coldly. Chapter 3251. Judging from the words of the man in black, he did not seem to be from the same group as the previous group. Who sent you here? Lu Ming asked coldly. Hihi, it doesn't matter if I tell you. You are destined to die for killing the people of the abysmal Heavenly King Mansion. The man in black in the middle sneered. You are from the abysmal Heavenly King Mansion. It seems like you are very confident that you can kill me, Lu Ming said. The fact that the other party revealed his identity showed that he was very confident. We have seen all your moves. Killing you is as easy as flipping my hand. One of the men in black sneered. Then, the 3 men in black emitted a powerful aura. Wisps of ghostly fog filled the air and pressed down on Lu Ming. 8th layer Divine King Realm, 7th layer Divine King Realm. Lu Ming's expression changed. One of the 3 assassins from the abysmal Heavenly King Mansion was in the 8th layer Divine King Realm while the other 2 were in the 7th layer Divine King Realm. It was obvious that they had awakened their origin divine force factor. It would be easy for them to kill Lu Ming. Although Lu Ming could kill experts in the 6th layer Divine King Realm, There was a huge gap between the 7th layer Divine King Realm and the 6th layer Divine King Realm. The 7th layer Divine King Realm was a high-level Divine King. With Lu Ming's current strength, he was not a match for the 7th layer Divine King Realm experts, even if they were the most ordinary 7th layer Divine King Realm experts. Normally, it would not be difficult for those who had reached the 7th layer Divine King Realm to awaken their origin divine force factor as long as their talent was not too bad. With such strength, there was no way they could defeat Lu Ming. Unfortunately, Lu Ming was already prepared. Swoosh! Lu Ming retreated quickly. Kill! The 3 assassins from the abysmal Heavenly King Mansion charged at Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming waved his hands and said, "Open." Buzz! 7 array flags appeared around the cave dwelling. As soon as the 7 array flags appeared, countless runes shone and formed a huge array. Puff! A godly light flashed and pierced through the body of an assassin of the 7th King God layer. Thud! His corpse fell to the ground. Damn it! That brat has already set up the formation. Let's go. The remaining 2 9-nether Heavenly King Mansion assassins were shocked and were about to rush out of the cave. Don't you think it's too late to leave now? Lu Ming sneered. With a wave of his hand, 3 array discs flew out, transforming into beams of light that wrapped around the 2 assassins. Then, the formation flag glowed. Another godly light flew out and killed another cultivator of the 7th King God layer. Lu Ming, you deserve to die. You have offended the 9th Underworld Heavenly King residence. Your fate is sealed. You will die without a burial ground. The remaining killer roared. His cultivation base was the highest, at the 8th Divine King Realm. He was extremely strong. He struggled crazily, making the light around him shake violently, as if it was going to collapse at any moment. Now, the one who will die without a burial ground is you. Kill. Lu Ming continued to control the formation flag. A beam of godly light flew out and pierced the assassin's body. However, the assassin's divine energy was indeed strong. He did not die immediately and was still struggling. Kill. Lu Ming rushed over and controlled the Dominator's gate to suppress the assassin. Bang! The Dominator's gate hit the assassin's head with a loud bang. The assassin's head was not smashed open, but blood flowed out. An 8th Divine King Realm cultivator is so strong. Lu Ming was shocked. If he had not set up the formation flag and disc beforehand, he would have been in danger. At that moment, the formation flag glowed and another beam of godly light flew out. This time, it pierced the assassin's glabella and destroyed his soul. Finally, the assassin was killed. The 3 experts of the 9th Underworld Heavenly King residence were all killed. Fortunately, I have Lanshu's formation flag and disc. Otherwise, I would have been in danger. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. 2 groups of people. One group is from the 9th Underworld Heavenly King residence. What about the other group? The Lan family? The Wu family or the War God family? Lu Ming pondered. Cold murderous intent flashed in his eyes. These people were still bent on killing him. When I rise in the future, these forces will all be wiped out. Then, Lu Ming kept the storage rings of the 2 groups of assassins. As for the corpses, he burned them into ashes. He searched the storage rings for a while but did not find anything useful. He also did not know which force sent the other group of assassins. It seems that the Black Jade Gold Mine is not safe. I have to be more careful in the future. I have to report this to the general here and ask him to send more people to guard. Lu Ming pondered and then walked out of the cave. He planned to find the general of the Black Jade Army and tell him about this. However, when Lu Ming walked out of the cave for a while, he was shocked and stopped in his tracks. Something is not right. The battle just now should have caused some commotion. Why didn't the Black Jade Army come to check it out? Lu Ming suddenly thought of this. He then looked around and realized that there was not a single Black Jade Army in the vicinity. Usually, there would be many Black Jade Army patrolling nearby. But now, there was not a single one. What's going on? Could it be that the Black Jade Army knew that I would be assassinated and deliberately sent people away? Or is there another reason? Lu Ming frowned. He felt that this matter was not that simple. At this moment, Lu Ming saw some figures flying towards him. These people were wearing black armor. They were the sergeants of the Black Jade Army. They're here. Am I overthinking? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He was puzzled. Lu Ming, the leader of the burly men, flew over with a smile. General Song, you're looking for me? Lu Ming asked tentatively. This person was a deputy general of the Black Jade Army. That's right. The leader of the burly men nodded and said, the general asked us to find you and assign you a mission. He wants you to patrol a mine. Just patrolling the mine? Nothing else? Lu Ming asked. Nothing else. Deputy General Song shook his head. Lu Ming was puzzled. He thought that the other party was here to check on the movement just now. However, the other party did not mention anything. This made Lu Ming puzzled. All right, let's go, Lu Ming said. Then, he followed Deputy General Song and the rest into the mine. Not long after, they came to a mine. This mine was pitch black, and cold yin qi constantly emitted from it. It felt incomparably horrifying. Why is there no one in this mine? Lu Ming asked. Oh, this is an abandoned mine. I thought that there was no more black jade gold. But recently, it was detected again. So, the general asked us to patrol it. Lu Ming, please, Deputy General Song said. General Song, you go first. I'm not familiar with this place. It's better to follow you. Lu Ming smiled. A cold light flashed in Deputy General Song's eyes. However, it disappeared in a flash. However, Lu Ming's spiritual senses were very sharp. He managed to capture this ray of cold light. There's killing intent. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. All right, let's go in first. Deputy General Song laughed and then walked towards the mine. Chapter 3252. Deputy General Song was the first to enter the mine. However, Lu Ming noticed that Deputy General Song was nervous. His eyes were bright as he stared at the mine as if he was afraid that something terrible would rush out. Moreover, divine power was surging in his hands. Apparently, he was ready to take action at any time. Furthermore, only a few of them followed Deputy General Song in. The remaining people stood behind Lu Ming, vaguely blocking Lu Ming's escape route. Lu Ming, please, a man in armor behind Lu Ming said. These people were terrifying. Their auras were dense. Lu Ming estimated that they were all above the 6th King God realm. All right. Lu Ming nodded silently. He stepped out and walked into the mine cave. As soon as he entered the mine, a cold wind blew on Lu Ming. Even with Lu Ming's cultivation, he couldn't help but shiver. The mine was gloomy and filled with yin qi. Lu Ming felt like he had walked into a ghost town. Behind him, the men in armor followed. They scattered behind Lu Ming, their faces solemn. This mine is strange. Something is wrong. In Jiyu Mo's Sea of Consciousness, he heard the voice of Jiyu Mo, can you see anything? Lu Ming communicated with Jiyu Mo secretly. If I'm not wrong, many peerless experts have died in this mine a long time ago. Moreover, there are many of them. They are filled with resentment. I'm afraid there is a great danger, Jiyu Mo said. These people are indeed lying. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. Deputy General Song said that this was just an abandoned mine. Now that they had discovered some ores, they were here to inspect. This was obviously a lie. This place was very dangerous. No wonder Deputy General Song and the others were so solemn. They were up to no good. Lu Ming was sure that these people were up to no good. Deputy General Song led the way. Lu Ming and the others followed behind. They slowly flew into the mine. The mine was very dark. There was no light. However, with their eyesight, they could see through it. That is, suddenly, Lu Ming saw a pile of mud on the side. Beside the mud, there were several skeletons lying there. The flesh and blood of an expert. That pile of mud is formed from the flesh and blood of a peerless expert. It contains a terrifying killing intent. Anyone who touches it will die. The bone demon cried out in alarm, appearing very serious. Lu Ming's eyes flashed, but he didn't say anything. At this point, the expressions of Deputy General Song and company turned solemn. They stopped and looked in a certain direction. Lu Ming looked in that direction and his heart jumped because he saw a pile of corpses. There were barbarians, and there were also armored soldiers, but they were all dead. Their faces were filled with fear, as if they had encountered something terrifying. Deputy General Song, didn't you say that this is an abandoned mine? Why did so many people die here? Lu Ming asked in a low voice. Silently, a bunch of formation flags and talisman seals appeared in his hands. He. At this time, Deputy General Song sneered and said, Lu Ming, what do you think of this place? What do you mean? Lu Ming said in a low voice. It's very simple. This place will be your burial ground. How about it? Deputy General Song finally revealed a ferocious killing intent when he said this. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. You want to kill me? Why? Who sent you to kill me? I'll tell you so that you can give up. Naturally, it was General Bi Kui who sent us. Hehehe, do you know why he chose this place? Because this is not an abandoned mine. It's a new mine, a newly discovered mine. However, this mine is extremely strange. Those who entered at the beginning all died mysteriously. No one will suspect you if you die here. Go in peace, hehehe. Deputy General Song kept sneering. This time, Lu Ming was really shocked. These people were actually sent by General Bi Kui of the Black Jade Army to kill him. Why did Bi Kui want to kill him? Among Lu Ming's enemies, who could command Bi Kui? Seeing Lu Ming's shocked expression, Deputy General Song felt very happy and carefree. To be honest, those who were sent to work in a place like the Black Jade Mine had basically lost all hope in the future. It was very difficult for them to advance. Therefore, when they saw a prodigy like Lu Ming, they were very unhappy. And when they saw Lu Ming's shock and despair, they felt very happy. To put it bluntly, they were perverts. Therefore, he took his time to recount the matter. He wanted to see Lu Ming's expression of despair and shock. What's that? At this time, Lu Ming suddenly looked behind Deputy General Song. His eyes widened, as if he had seen something terrifying. Deputy General Song's hair stood on end. His heartbeat accelerated. In great shock, he hurriedly turned back. This mine was too terrifying. When he brought Lu Ming in, he was already scared witless. At this time, it was completely a conditioned reflex. But when he turned back, he saw nothing. And Lu Ming seized the opportunity to attack. With a wave of his hand, more than 10 talismans flew towards the 7 or 8 armored burly men behind him. Explode! Lu Ming shouted in a low voice and more than 10 talismans exploded. In the instant that these talisman seals exploded, bursts of black lightning burst forth, enveloping 7 or 8 black-armored burly men within. This was the 9 Nether Lightning Talisman. It was not given to him by Blue Merchant, but taught to him by the Bone Demon. It was very powerful. The 7 or 8 armored burly men screamed. The bodies of the weakest ones exploded, and they died on the spot. Although the stronger ones managed to block it, they were seriously injured and coughed up blood. Kid, you're courting death. Deputy General Song finally reacted. He knew that he had been tricked by Lu Ming. With a roar, he punched out. A terrifying fist print blasted towards Lu Ming, causing the entire void to tremble. Although Lu Ming retreated rapidly, his speed was not comparable to the opponent's fist energy. Deputy General Song was a peak divine king. He was too powerful. At the critical moment, Lu Ming grabbed a handful of talismans and array flags and threw them out. 3 array flags landed in the air, emitting light. A strong light appeared in front of him. And those talismans formed all kinds of shields and iron walls. These were all defensive talismans. More than 10 layers of defense appeared in front of Lu Ming. And Lu Ming retreated rapidly, transforming into a green-armored ancient god. Ice chains and 9 layers of crimson gold armor appeared. However, Deputy General Song's fist energy was too terrifying. It crushed through. More than 10 layers of defense exploded one after another. In the end, there was still a terrifying force that bombarded Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming grunted and retreated rapidly. More than 10 bones in his body were broken, and he vomited blood. The difference in cultivation was too great. If not for the more than 10 layers of talismans, This punch would have smashed Lu Ming into ashes. Even so, Lu Ming was seriously injured. "Kid, you must die today," Deputy General Song shouted coldly. He led the remaining armored burly men and charged towards Lu Ming. "Explode." At this moment, Lu Ming shouted again. Boom. The pile of mud on the side suddenly exploded. Chapter 3253. When Lu Ming attacked just now, he had silently thrown a talisman seal onto the pile of mud. At this moment, he was pushed back by Deputy General Song and distanced himself from the mud. Without hesitation, Lu Ming formed a hand seal and the talisman seal immediately exploded. The talisman seal exploded like a bomb and the pile of mud splashed everywhere. Instantly, a series of screams rang out. The bodies of Deputy General Song and the armored soldiers had turned into beehives, with holes all over their bodies. Lu Ming gasped a breath of cold air. The power of the mud exceeded his expectations. It was extremely terrifying. Like a bullet hitting tofu, it flew past the armored soldiers and left a hole in their bodies. Even Deputy General Song, who was a peak divine king, could not block it at all. Fortunately, Lu Ming was pushed back by Deputy General Song and was far enough away. Moreover, he was prepared and was not splashed by the mud. The armored soldiers who had their bodies pierced by the mud screamed miserably. A horrifying scene appeared. Their bodies quickly shriveled and rotted. In just a few breaths, only a skeleton was left. No, Deputy General Song's cultivation was higher and he lasted a little longer. He did not die immediately, but he could only watch as his body rotted. He was powerless to stop it. His eyes were filled with terror. "Damn it, damn bastard. You will die a horrible death. I will inform the general. You can't escape. You will come down to accompany me," Deputy General Song shouted hysterically. He took out a sound transmission jade talisman and sent out the news. Once the news spread, Deputy General Song's body completely turned into a skeleton. A peak divine king had fallen just like that. "We can't stay here for long. Let's go." Lu Ming did not hesitate. After swallowing an elixir, he managed to stabilize his injuries. He then dashed out of the mine cave and rushed outside. He could no longer stay in the Black Jade gold mine. Lu Ming planned to leave. Even if he did not complete the mission, it was better to be punished by the Great Void Imperial Academy than to be killed here. However, Lu Ming did not fly far before his expression changed. Rumble. One after another, armored armies crossed the void, stomping on the void as they charged toward Yifutian. Not only that, but there were also armored troops flying over from other directions. The black mass of troops sealed off the entire void. Their auras were incomparably violent, blocking off all escape routes. The Black Jade army was mobilized. Boom. At this moment, in the depths of the mine, a terrifying aura shot up to the sky. The vast pressure enveloped the entire Black Jade gold mine. This was definitely a Divine Lord realm powerhouse. Moreover, he was not an ordinary Divine Lord. Among the Divine Lords, he was considered an expert. In the mine, countless slave miners trembled, their faces full of fear. "Damn it," Lu Ming bellowed, his expression extremely ugly. Deputy General Song was right. This matter was indeed ordered by the Black Jade Army's General Bi Kui. Otherwise, no one could mobilize so many Black Jade Army soldiers. Just who was commanding Bi Kui? At this moment, Lu Ming had no time to think. The way out had been sealed, and there was no way to escape. Enter that mine. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a trace of viciousness. That mine was extremely strange. Now, only that mine could help him. Otherwise, he would have no other way out. Although he had various array flags and talismans refined by Blue Merchant and some talismans refined by Bone Devil, those array flags and talismans were still effective against divine kings. Against divine lords, they were simply courting death. Lu Ming turned and left. He dashed toward the mine cave and dashed into it. "He's there. Chase him." A group of armored troops saw Lu Ming and chased after him. However, when they reached the entrance of the mine, they stopped, their faces filled with fear. This mine was a newly discovered one. It was very strange and many people had died there. It made them feel terrified, so they did not dare to enter. After Lu Ming rushed into the mine, he began to think of a countermeasure. They will definitely come in. I can't just sit here and wait for my death, Lu Ming's mind raced. Kid, there are many things you can use in this mine. There's more than one pile of that mud. You can set up some killing traps, Bone Devil said, and then taught Lu Ming how to set up the traps. Lu Ming waved his hand and array flags flew to every corner of the mine. Then, with a flash of light, they hid themselves and disappeared. Lu Ming kept waving his hand. Array flags and array discs flew out continuously. Some talismans also flew to the mud. The talismans were light and floated above the mud. As long as Lu Ming controlled them, they could explode at any time. The mine was very big and had rugged rocks of strange shapes. The terrain was very complicated. After setting up, Lu Ming burned the remains of Song Bian and the others to ashes. Then, he found a secluded place to hide and waited quietly. At the entrance of the mine, more and more armored troops gathered and surrounded the mine. However, no one entered. Suddenly, a terrifying aura came. The armored troops took the initiative to move aside and a burly man strode over. This burly man was the general of the Black Jade Army, Bi Kui. General, that kid is hiding in the mine, someone reported to Bi Kui. That kid thinks he can survive by hiding in the mine. What a joke. Bi Kui snorted coldly. His eyes were exceptionally cold. His original plan was to have Song Bian and the others lure Lu Ming into the mine and then kill Lu Ming. At that time, he could announce to the outside world that Lu Ming had barged into the strange mine and was killed by the strangeness of the mine. This way, it could be said to be flawless. He never expected that he would receive Song Bian's transmission. Song Bian and the others were all wiped out, but Lu Ming was not dead. He was immediately furious and led the army to block all the exits. That's good. This general originally planned to send people to explore the mine. Now, I can kill someone while I'm at it. Bi Kui sneered coldly. Then, he looked at the burly men of the Black Jade Army and said, Lieutenant Wei, Lieutenant Liu, you take people to kill that kid and then explore the mine. The burly men's faces changed. However, they had to obey Bi Kui's order. They could only brace themselves and take the order. Each of them took dozens of soldiers and stormed into the mine. There were a total of 3 deputy generals, leading close to 100 armored soldiers, entering the mine. The lowest cultivation base of these armored soldiers was at the 4th sky of the King God realm. They were the elites of the Black Jade Army. After entering the mine, they spread out carefully and moved forward slowly. Soon, they had moved forward a distance and entered the trap that Lu Ming had set up. Almost there. Almost there, Lu Ming hid in the dark, watching them silently. Slowly, one by one, the armored soldiers fell into the trap that Lu Ming had set up. Time to send you on your way. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a murderous intention. He made a hand seal. Chapter 3254. Lu Ming did not hesitate to make his move when the 100 armored soldiers entered the trap. He started to form seals with both hands. Suddenly, 13 array flags appeared in a corner. The array flags shone brightly. Runes intertwined and formed light swords. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The light swords flew out at an astonishing speed. Swoosh, swoosh. Blood splattered everywhere. In an instant, 5 armored soldiers had their heads cut off and died on the spot. Be careful. A deputy general roared, and all the armored soldiers set up defenses around their bodies. However, Lu Ming continued to form seals with both hands. Array discs and array flags appeared from all directions. These array discs and array flags formed different kinds of arrays. Some arrays were used to trap the enemy. They flew out like chains and entangled the armored soldiers. Some arrays were used to confuse the enemy. They formed all kinds of illusory attacks and combined with the real attacks. It was impossible to defend against them. Miserable cries rang out one after another as the armored soldiers were killed one after another. Those below the 7th layer of the King God realm would not be able to withstand the attacks of the array flags and arrays. Only those above the 7th layer of the King God realm would be able to withstand them. "Despicable bastards!" roared a few deputy generals. They were all peak King God realm cultivators. With a wave of their hands, they could release an unparalleled power that shook the mine. The mine was strange. It was extremely hard. If a peak King God realm cultivator attacked with his full strength, he could even destroy a planet. However, in this mine, he could only cause the mine to shake. With a wave of their hands, they destroyed the array flags and array discs. The armored soldiers who were above the 7th layer of the King God realm did the same. They blocked the attacks from all directions. "Child's play, be destroyed," a deputy general shouted coldly and flicked his finger. Terrifying finger beams flew out and bombarded the formation flags and discs. Array flags and array discs exploded one after another. "Have a taste of this." Lu Ming grabbed a bunch of talismans in his hands and threw them all out. These talismans were all 9 Serenity's lightning talismans. They were extremely powerful. Boom boom boom, a large number of 9 Serenity's thunder runes exploded, turning into rolling black thunderbolts that struck at all the armored soldiers. Instantly, some of the 7th sky of King God realm soldiers were hit by the explosion. They were severely wounded. Only those above the 8th King God realm could withstand it. "Brat, I've found you. Die." A deputy general roared and charged towards Lu Ming. When Lu Ming threw the talisman, he was discovered. As soon as this deputy general rushed out, the other experts also rushed out. However, Lu Ming's expression was very calm. When he threw out the talisman just now, he was automatically exposed. "Explode, explode," Lu Ming whispered when these experts had rushed a certain distance away. Then, a few rumbling sounds rang out. On both sides of the mine, there were 2 piles of mud with runes floating above them. The Black Cloud Army experts had not noticed them at all. The talisman seal exploded and mud splattered everywhere. Every drop of mud exuded a terrifying killing intent that was countless times more terrifying than a bullet. Before the experts of the Black Cloud Army could react, their bodies had turned into sieves. The same went for the other deputy generals. As for Lu Ming, he had chosen the location beforehand. It was a blind spot, so naturally, he was not afraid. The experts of the Black Jade Army roared. Their bodies were being corroded rapidly. Some of the weaker ones died within a few breaths. Only 3 deputy generals were still trying their best to fight back. They wanted to retreat. "Since you're here, then don't leave," Lu Ming said coldly. He rushed out and thrust his long spear at the deputy generals. "Brat, son of a bitch, I'll kill you." The 3 deputy generals roared and charged towards Lu Ming. However, they were severely wounded. The mud was filled with terrifying killing intent. It was constantly corroding their bodies and devouring their vitality. Their strength was greatly reduced and they could not use much of their strength. Bam! The long spear pressed down and one of the deputy generals exploded. He died on the spot. Then, the long spear swept across and killed the other 2 deputy generals. Another 3 peak Divine King realm experts fell. They died aggrieved deaths. Such people, in the 9 Heavenly King mansion, would be the family leader of a big family. But now, they were slaughtered by Lu Ming like sheep. With the death of the 3 deputy generals, more than 100 Black Jade Army soldiers were annihilated. Lu Ming's body flashed and he kept all the storage rings of the Black Cloud Army. He then pondered. The other party would most likely send more experts in. Peak Divine King realm experts were still manageable. If they sent Divine Lord realm experts, it would be troublesome. The power of this mud is terrifying. It would be great if I could use it properly. Lu Ming's gaze landed on the few puddles of mud. Although the runes had exploded a few times, only a corner of it was blown off. There were still many remnants. If this mud is attached to the divine weapon, then the divine weapon can become a great killing weapon. Thinking of this, Lu Ming took out a combat sword and controlled it to fly towards the mud. He then flew into the mud and wanted to get some mud on the sword. However, when the combat sword flew into the mud, the divine weapon was like ice meeting fire. It softened and turned into a pool of molten iron in a few breaths. So terrifying, Lu Ming frowned. He took out the combat sword from a deputy general's storage ring. It was a rank 9 divine weapon and was meant for peak divine kings. However, it melted. Lu Ming's heart ached. It would be great to give it to Qiu Qiu. It was gone just like that. Lad, this mud is definitely formed after the death of a terrifying expert. It contains the terrifying killing intent of those experts before they died. Every bit of mud contains terrifying power. Ordinary divine weapons can't withstand it, Jiumo explained. What should I do? Oh yeah, the purple copper coffin. Lu Ming suddenly thought of the purple copper coffin. The origin of the purple copper coffin was unimaginable and mysterious. The material of the purple copper coffin was even more unpredictable. Anyway, no matter what Lu Ming did, he couldn't leave a mark on the purple copper coffin. Even Qiu Qiu would only break its teeth if it wanted to bite the purple copper coffin. Given the purple copper coffin's material, it should be able to withstand the mud. Let's give it a try. Now that it was a matter of life and death, Lu Ming couldn't be bothered. He took out the purple copper coffin from the Jingyu painting scroll. Lu Ming grabbed one end of the purple copper coffin. The purple copper coffin was extremely heavy. When Lu Ming first obtained it, he couldn't lift it at all. However, Lu Ming's strength had increased exponentially. He didn't have any problem lifting the purple copper coffin. Lu Ming grabbed one end of the purple copper coffin and placed the other end into the mud pile, submerging half of the purple copper coffin. Chapter 3255. After a while, Lu Ming took out the purple copper coffin. He found that the purple copper coffin was covered in mud, but it was completely fine. It's fine. Haha, it's fine. Lu Ming was overjoyed. The purple copper coffin was covered in mud and could definitely be a great killing weapon. Alright, I'll give you a surprise later, Lu Ming sneered. Then, he took out some seals and threw them at the mud, causing them to float above the mud. After making some arrangements, Lu Ming found a place to hide and continued to wait. Outside the mine, Biqui's face was extremely gloomy. Previously, they could still hear the violent rumbling in the mine, but after a while, all the sounds disappeared. Then, no one came out. It was eerily quiet. It was as if those people had disappeared. Many people were horrified. In their eyes, the mine was like a terrifying giant beast that was devouring all life. Anyone who went in would be devoured. That kid should have died in there too, a deputy general said with a trembling voice. If he's alive, I want to see him. If he's dead, I want to see his corpse, Biqui said coldly. Many people's faces were ugly. They did not dare to look at Biqui for fear that he would call them out. Let me go in. At this moment, a white-haired old man said. Many people's eyes lit up. This old man was a deputy general of the Black Cloud Army. The deputy general was second only to the general, Biqui. He was also a divine lord expert. In the Black Jade Army, Biqui was not the only divine lord expert. All of you, follow me in. The deputy general looked at some people. These people's faces changed slightly, but they still did not dare to disobey the order. In the Taishu dynasty, military orders were like mountains. Disobeying orders would be treated as treason and would only lead to death. However, with a divine lord expert going in with them, they were much more courageous. This time, with the deputy general in the lead, more than 100 Black Jade Army soldiers entered the mine. They moved forward carefully. The deputy general of the Black Jade Army set up a layer of defense in front of him. His spiritual sense swept out like a storm and found Lu Ming immediately. That kid is there. The deputy general of the Black Jade Army looked at the place where Lu Ming was hiding. The other members of the Black Jade Army sucked in a breath of cold air. Lu Ming was still alive. Then where did the Black Jade Army go? How could it disappear without a trace? They felt a chill in their hearts. Humph, no matter what method he uses, only death awaits him. Follow me closely, the deputy general of the Black Jade Army said coldly. He slowly walked forward towards the place where Lu Ming was hiding. The other members of the Black Jade Army followed closely behind. They all set up heavy defenses and were on high alert. Brat, come out and surrender yourself. I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead." The Deputy General of the Black Jade Army said coldly, "Old man, come and catch me if you can. I'm right here. Come on." Lu Ming provoked. The Deputy General of the Black Jade Army was filled with killing intent. However, he didn't dare to be careless. He looked around and listened carefully as he slowly approached Lu Ming. The spiritual sense of a divine Lord Realm expert was very sharp. He felt a sense of danger shrouding him. "Brat, I'll take you down later. I'll make sure you die a horrible death." The Deputy General of the Black Jade Army shouted coldly. He waved his hand and a few more divine artifacts appeared around him, surrounding him. "Kill." Then, he shouted coldly and was about to attack Lu Ming. "Explode, explode." At this moment, Lu Ming shouted in a low voice. Boom boom, the runes floating above the mud exploded. Suddenly, the mud splattered everywhere. Although the Black Jade Army had set up heavy defenses around their bodies, these defenses couldn't withstand a single blow. As the mud flew past, all the defenses were penetrated. Then, their bodies were also penetrated. Screams were heard. Many people's bodies were rapidly decaying. They finally knew why those people had disappeared. It was because of the mud. One after another, the Black Jade Army turned into skeletons and died here. "Damn it," the Deputy General of the Black Jade Army roared. As a Divine Lord Realm expert, he had set up heavy defenses earlier, so he wasn't so miserable. Although some of his defenses were penetrated, only a few drops of mud splashed on his body. However, it didn't penetrate his body. A Divine Lord Realm existence's divine body would undergo a qualitative change after a transformation. It was very terrifying and not something a Divine King Realm existence could compare with. When the mud splashed on his body, it only corroded a few big holes. The Deputy General of the Black Jade Army roared. He took out a sharp knife and cut off the corroded flesh. However, the mud was like a bone drill. It was difficult to remove. The places that were cut off were still corroding. The Deputy General of the Black Jade Army could only circulate his divine power to resist. "Brat, I'm going to cut you into pieces and make you suffer so much that you'll wish you were dead," the Deputy General of the Black Jade Army roared and charged towards Lu Ming. A terrifying knife light slashed towards Lu Ming. A Divine Lord Realm expert is indeed powerful. Lu Ming's eyes turned solemn. However, he could only brace himself for the moment. He rushed out, lifted the purple copper coffin and smashed it towards the Deputy General of the Black Jade Army. Clang! The knife light of the Deputy General of the Black Jade Army slashed on the purple copper coffin and a violent explosion erupted. Bang! Lu Ming felt a terrifying force bombarding the purple copper coffin. Then, it moved along the purple copper coffin and blasted towards him. The bones in Lu Ming's hands were instantly broken. The purple copper coffin hit Lu Ming's chest and the sound of bones breaking could be heard. Lu Ming's body retreated rapidly and heavily smashed into the wall of the mine. He vomited a large mouthful of blood and was severely injured. A Divine Lord Realm expert was too strong. If he hadn't used most of his divine power to resist the corrosive power of the mud, Lu Ming would have been blown apart. However, although Lu Ming was miserable, the Deputy General of the Black Cloud Army was even more miserable. The battle knife slashed on the purple copper coffin. The mud stuck on the purple copper coffin flew towards him due to inertia. This move was completely out of the Black Jade Army's Deputy General's expectations. Therefore, he wasn't prepared and was instantly splashed with mud. "Ah!" The Deputy General of the Black Jade Army let out a deafening roar. His entire body was being corroded and was beyond recognition. It was a tragic sight. "Kill!" Lu Ming shouted. He didn't care about his injuries and swung the purple copper coffin towards the Deputy General of the Black Jade Army. The Deputy General of the Black Jade Army instinctively raised his palm to block. When his palm hit the purple copper coffin, it was equivalent to hitting the mud. Suddenly, his palm burst open. There was no flesh and blood, only bones were left. "Ah!" The Deputy General of the Black Jade Army roared. He turned around and fled towards the outside of the mine. At this moment, the other members of the Black Jade Army were all dead. A few Divine King Realm experts were originally rushing towards the outside of the mine. However, before they could get out of the mine, they were corroded into skeletons. Chapter 3256. Outside the mine, Bi Kui and the others were waiting, but not long after, they heard shrill screams coming from the mine, as if they had encountered something terrifying. W. 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 R. N. When a. Many people shuddered, and a chill rose from the soles of their feet. One by one, they revealed a look of horror. What's in there? Many people's teeth were chattering. That kid is most likely dead. There were others who spoke, sounding the retreat drum, wishing to leave this place. Bi Kui's face was gloomy. He had no intention of leaving. Lu Ming was related to whether he could be transferred to the Imperial Guard or not. It was related to his future. He could not give up. Suddenly, a figure rushed out. It was the Deputy General from before. It's Deputy General Sun, someone exclaimed. When everyone saw Deputy General Sun's miserable state, they all gasped and shivered. Miserable, too miserable. Deputy General Sun's face was completely unrecognizable. His body was riddled with holes. It was too miserable. Deputy General Sun was a Divine Lord realm existence. For a Divine Lord to end up in such a state, the mine was just too terrifying. Attack! Bi Kui shouted. Divine power surged out of his body and poured into Deputy General Sun's body to help him resist the corrosive power. On the side, there were a few other Deputy Generals who also took action to help Deputy General Sun resist. After a while, the joint efforts of several Divine Lord experts finally blocked the corrosive power and forced it out of Deputy General Sun's body. Deputy General Sun's body began to wriggle, and the injuries that were riddled with holes immediately healed. A Divine Lord expert's vitality was extremely tenacious. Naturally, he would not die so easily. Deputy General Sun, what happened inside? Is that brat dead? Bi Kui asked with a cold face. As for the Black Jade Army that entered and never came out, he was too lazy to care. He did not care about those who died at all. He's not dead. That kid is not dead, Deputy General Sun said. Everyone's face changed drastically. So many experts of the Black Jade Army had died, but that kid was still alive. How was that possible? What's going on? What did you encounter inside? Don't ask. It's like this. Immediately, Deputy General Sun explained the situation inside the room. That brat relied on that kind of mud to kill so many of us. That kind of mud should be the flesh and blood of top experts after they died. We didn't pay attention before, so we fell into his trap. Deputy General Sun said, his eyes extremely cold. Lu Ming actually made him so miserable. He wished he could chop Lu Ming into pieces. So that's how it is. Can a monarch-level divine weapon withstand that kind of mud? Don't ask. With a few monarch-grade divine artifacts, we should be able to block it. The purple copper coffin in that kid's hand is also stained with mud. As long as we are careful and block off a wave of mud attack, that kid is nothing to be afraid of. We can kill him with a flip of our hand, Deputy General Sun said. All right, this time, I will go in personally. All of you, come with me, Bi Kui said. After figuring out Lu Ming's trick, he finally decided to go in personally. At the same time, he called a few deputies and some existences above the 7th layer of the King God realm. This time, he had to kill Lu Ming and at the same time, investigate the mine cave thoroughly. Some top experts had died and turned into meat paste. They guessed that the mine was extraordinary and there might be opportunities inside. In the end, a group of dozens of people, all of whom were top experts of the Black Jade Army, entered the mine together. A few divine artifacts floated around them. These divine artifacts were monarch-grade divine artifacts, which were better than supreme-grade divine artifacts. They moved forward carefully and arrived at the place where Deputy General Sun and the others had been attacked. However, they didn't see Lu Ming. Did that brat enter the depths of the mine? Deputy General Sun asked. He also followed in. He had to kill Lu Ming with his own hands to relieve the hatred in his heart. Deputy General Sun's guess was right. Lu Ming had indeed entered the depths of the mine. After Deputy General Sun escaped, Lu Ming frowned. A Divine Lord Realm expert is indeed powerful. Even with this mud, I can't kill him. Moreover, my trick has been exposed. If a few Divine Lords come in, I will definitely die. Lu Ming muttered to himself as he tried to think of a solution. In the end, he decided to enter the depths of the mine. This mine was extraordinary and strange. He might find a chance to turn the situation around if he entered the depths of the mine. Before he left, he put away all the storage rings of the Black Jade Army. Then, he put some mud on one end of the purple copper coffin. After that, he put the purple copper coffin into the Jingyu painting scroll. After he was ready, Lu Ming went into the depths of the mine. Lu Ming was very careful. This mine was strange, and who knew what dangers there might be. Moreover, he had Jiyu Mo, the old fox. Under Jiyu Mo's guidance, he avoided a few dangerous places and slowly went into the depths of the mine. The deeper he went, the thicker the yin qi became. Moreover, there was another aura in the yin qi. This is demonic qi. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. Yes, it is indeed demonic qi. Jiyu Mo replied. He was very sensitive to demonic qi. Catcher, catcher. Suddenly, Lu Ming heard the sound of metal clashing in front of him. Then, he saw a team appear in front of him. There were about a dozen people, all of them wearing black metal armor. Under the metal armor, there was no physical body, only a ball of flame. Ghost fire. This is a ghost soldier. Lu Ming was surprised to see a team of ghost soldiers here. Lu Ming had encountered similar ghost soldiers in the ghost region. However, the ghost soldiers here were a little different. In addition to the yin qi, there was also a demonic qi around them. These ghost soldiers must have been experts of the demonic path when they were alive. There are many experts buried here. Jiyu Mo said. Forget it, let's go over first. After Lu Ming said that, a black bone club appeared in his hand. This bone club was taken from the Dark Ape Fighting Tribe. It was refined by an expert of the Dark Ape Fighting Tribe and had a strong restraining effect on ghosts. As expected, after the bone club was taken out, it emitted a faint light. When the ghost soldiers were illuminated by the light, they retreated in fear and took the initiative to open a path. Lu Ming passed through without any danger. After that, Lu Ming met at least a few hundred ghost soldiers. However, Lu Ming used the bone club to open a path, so it was very smooth. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the depths of the mine. The deeper the mine, the more spacious the terrain became. Lu Ming did not know how far he had traveled, but he felt that he had arrived at the depths of the mine. There was a huge underground space here, like an underground world. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.